I want to start today by calibrating our senses a little bit.
Okay, calibrating.
Yeah. I want you to imagine a sound, and this is for you listening as well. It's arguably the most stereotypical, comfortable sound in the English landscape.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
You're in a village, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in the Cotswolds or, I don't know, rural Suffolk. It's Sunday morning. There's a bit of mist on the ground, and you hear it.
The church bells.
Exactly, the church bells. It's the soundtrack of weddings, of harvest festival.
It's the sound of midsummer murders before the body is found.
Yes, exactly. It sounds like safety. It sounds like tradition. It just sounds so quaint.
It is a very curated image. It's the sonic equivalent of a warm cup of tea, really.
Right. But here's the problem with that image. When we actually started digging into the stack of sources for this deep dive.
And it was quite a stack.
Oh, it was dense. I mean, we're talking archival material from the Central Council of Church Bell Ringers, the Whiting Society, and bizarrely, the National Meteorological Archives.
Yeah, that last one threw me at first.
Right. But looking at all of that quaint image completely fell apart.
It usually does when you look at the engineering behind something so old.
It shattered. Because what I realized is that what we are hearing isn't just a gentle call to prayer.
No, it's not.
It's not even really music in the way we traditionally understand it. We are listening to the sonic evidence of a high-intensity, dangerous mathematical sport.
That is a much more accurate description. It is where heavy industry meets abstract algebra.
Heavy industry meets abstract algebra? I love that. Because that is the mission for today.
We have a lot of ground to cover.
We really do. We're going to peel back the layers of this sound. We're going to look at a history that spans over 1,000 years, from 670 A.D. to the present day.
And we're going to track how a very simple alarm system evolved into this secular obsession.
An obsession involving 100-pound iron tongues, complex permutations, and a surprising amount of physical danger.
And we are going to answer a question that I think most people don't even realize they should be asking.
Which is why English bells sound so completely different from bells in the rest of the world.
Exactly.
That was actually the biggest surprise for me in the reading. I just assumed, a bell was a bell. You hit it, it goes dong.
Most people assume that.
But the English style, this thing called change ringing, it's a global anomaly.
It is. It's a completely unique technological and cultural divergence.
While the rest of Europe was refining melody and harmony,
the English went down a rabbit hole of mechanics and math. They didn't want a tune. They wanted a puzzle.
So let's unpack this. To understand the math and the mechanics, we have to understand the starting point. The sources take us all the way back to the 7th century.
Specifically, we need to look at the records from 670 A.D.
This is the Venerable Bede,
the father of English history himself. He was writing from Monk Wearmouth Jarrow, but he records the existence of bells at Whitby Abbey.
Now, when we look at these early texts, we have to strip away our modern understanding of ringing, don't we?
We do, because looking at the archival descriptions, these weren't the massive, swinging behemoths we see in towers today.
Right, what were they then?
These were likely what we call handbells, or small bells hung in a very simple frame.
So they were struck?
Yes, struck or chimed. They didn't swing full circle, and crucially, they weren't musical instruments, they were tools.
The sources describe them as strictly functional. It was essentially a binary communication system.
Exactly. It was a signal processor for the community. You have to remember, in 670 A.D., there are no clocks.
No watches.
Nothing like that. The monastery, and by extension the village, runs on canonical hours.
Right, the schedule of prayers.
The bell is the timekeeper.
Yeah.
It tells you when to wake, when to pray, when to eat, and when to sleep.
It reminds me of a factory whistle more than a church service.
That is a very fair comparison. It was all about regulation. But there was another function, one that I found in the National Meteorological Archives, that really changes the tone of this discussion.
Ah, the storm bells.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where theology meets meteorology.
I found this absolutely fascinating. The sources mention that bells were used to ward off evil spirits, which I've heard before.
Right, it's a common folklore trope.
But they specifically link this to severe weather events.
We have to get into the medieval mindset here to understand this.
Okay, take us there.
Today, if we see a thunderstorm, we see a low-pressure system, we see electrical discharge.
Science.
Science. In the medieval imagination, a violent storm with thunder, lightning, crop-destroying hail.
That was a manifestation of demonic activity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A storm isn't just weather to them, it is an assault.
A spiritual assault on the community.
And the bell was the countermeasure. There is a famous Latin inscription found on many a medieval bells.
Fulgura frango.
fulgura frango, which means
I break the lightning.
I break the lightning. The belief was that the sound of the consecrated bell, the holy resonance itself, could physically and spiritually disperse the demons riding the storm clouds.
That is such a heavy concept. You aren't just ringing a bell to say mass is starting. You are manning the spiritual artillery against a hurricane.
Precisely. And this explains why, for centuries, the bell remained a fairly static object.
Because its power came from its consecration.
Right. Its power came from its consecration and its presence, not from how fancy the ringing was. It hung there, it swung a little bit to make a noise, and that was enough.
So for almost 1,000 years, we have this status quo. The bell is a tool. It's a holy alarm.
A spiritual shield.
Yeah. But then we hit the 16th and 17th centuries, and the sources describe a massive shift. Our outline calls this the engineering revolution.
This is the pivot point. This is where the English start tinkering.
And when we say tinkering, we don't mean they just polish the brass. They fundamentally changed the physics of how a bell moves.
They absolutely did. Up until this point, and in most of the world still today, actually, bells are chimed.
Meaning they just hang there.
They hang mostly still, and you pull a rope that swings it just enough for the clapper to hit the side, or a hammer hits it from the outside.
Ding dong, simple.
Simple, predictable. But the English wanted something else. They wanted volume, and they wanted control.
They wanted to bring the bell full circle.
Yes.
Okay, we need to visualize this because the diagrams in the Whiting Society papers are intense.
They are heavily technical.
When we say full circle, we mean the bell starts facing up, mouth up, and flips 360 degrees to face up again.
Correct. Imagine a bucket of water. If you swing it just a little bit, it sloshes.
Right.
If you swing it all the way around your head, the centrifugal force keeps the water in and you complete a full circle.
Now imagine that bucket weighs 2 tons.
And you are doing this with a rope.
It's terrifying just to picture.
It is, but you can't just tie a rope to a bell and flip it. You need leverage. This is where the wheel comes in.
The diagrams show these massive wooden wheels attached to the side of the bell. They look like wagon wheels, but huge.
They are huge, often 6 or 7 feet in diameter. The rope wraps around the rim of this wheel.
So when you pull the rope, you aren't pulling the bell directly.
No, you are unwinding the wheel, which gives you the torque to flip this massive weight.
So you pull the rope, the bell swings down, screams through the bottom of the arc, and swings up the other side.
And this is where the stay-in slider mechanism comes into play. The sources highlight this as the critical invention.
Yeah, explain the stay-in slider, because looking at the archives, to me, it just looked like a couple of sticks of wood next to a giant bronze monster.
That is actually exactly what it is, and that is the brilliance of it.
Really, just sticks.
Essentially, when the bell swings all the way up to the top, it's inverted. It's balancing mouth up. Gravity desperately wants to pull it back down or push it over the other side.
Right, if it flips too far, the rope winds the wrong way and you've got a disaster.
Exactly. So they installed a stay, a literal stick of ash wood attached to the bell mechanism.
Okay.
And as the bell reaches that delicate balance point, the stay bumps into a slider.
Which is another piece of wood.
A bar that moves just a few inches. This catches the bell. It allows it to set or rest just past the balance point.
So it's a catch.
It is a catch, but it is also a fuse.
What do you mean by a fuse?
If you pull too hard, if you use too much brute strength when ringing, the stay will snap.
The wood breaks to save the bell.
The wood breaks to save the bell, to save the tower, and potentially to save the ringer. It's a sacrificial part.
Wow.
But the real question is, why go to this trouble? Why invent wheels, stays, sliders, and reinforce the entire church tower to handle these massive horizontal forces?
The sources say it is all about timing.
It is entirely about timing. If I just swing a bell loosely, it rings when it wants to.
You can't control the strike.
I can't control it to the split second, but if I can swing it up and balance it on the stay,
You can hold it there.
I can hold it, I can wait, I can let it sit for a second, then pull it off the balance point exactly when I need it to strike.
This mechanism gave ringers millisecond level precision.
Millisecond precision.
And that precision is what unlocked the mathematical turn.
Yes.
Because once you can control exactly when the bell hits, you don't just want to make noise anymore. You want to make patterns.
And this is where the listener really needs to throw out their concept of music.
It's hard to do, but necessary.
English change ringing is not about melody. It is not about harmony. It doesn't have a time signature in the musical sense.
It's an algorithm.
It is a physicalized algorithm.
I was looking at the blue lines in the source material. This is how ringers visualize the music, right? It looks like a graph. It looks like a weaving pattern.
That is the perfect analogy. Think of a braid.
Okay.
If you have 6 bells, numbered 1 through 6, a method, which is what we call a specific pattern, is a rule set for how those numbers change order.
So if I'm ringing bell number 3, I'm not just waiting for the conductor to point at me.
No, absolutely not. You are memorizing a path.
Break that down for me.
Let's look at the simplest method, plain bob minor. If you were the number 3 bell, you might strike in 3rd place, then 4th place, then 5th place, hunting all the way to the back of the line.
And then you turn around and hunt back down to the front.
Essentially, yes. This is called hunting. You step one position forward or backward with every blow, but then it gets complex. You have dodging.
Dodging. It sounds like a dance step.
It is a bit like a dance. A dodge is where you swap places with another bell, but then immediately swap back.
Give me an example of how that sounds in the numbers.
So you ring in 4th place, then 5th place, then 4th place again before continuing your path.
And you have to do this while controlling a 2-ton bell that is swinging over your head.
Yes. You have to know where you are in the sequence. You have to know which bell you are following, which changes every single stroke.
That's wild.
And you have to physically manipulate the rope to speed up or slow down the bell to hit that exact slot in the cascade.
The cognitive load here is insane. I mean, the sources mention the Whiting Society of Change Ringers preserving these early methods with names like Grandsire Triples or Stedman Caters.
Classic methods.
But these aren't songs. They are codes.
They are ciphers, really. If you look at a sheet of change ringing music, you won't see notes on a staff. You see rows of numbers.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right. Then 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5. Then 2, 4, 1, 6, 3, 5. The goal is to move through these permutations without ever repeating a row.
That's the golden rule, right? Truth.
Yes, the concept of truth in ringing. A performance is only true if no row is repeated.
And if you do repeat one.
If you repeat a sequence, the peal is false. It has failed.
This feels like the exact moment where the bell tower stopped being a church and started being a hackerspace.
That is a very modern way to put it, but historically accurate.
It just feels so divorced from a religious service.
Which brings us to the cultural shift mentioned in the outline, the secularization of the tower.
Yeah, I want to dig into this because it feels like a conflict was brewing. We have the church downstairs and the mathematicians upstairs.
We have to look at the broader history here, the 16th and 17th centuries.
The Reformation.
The Reformation, the dissolution of the monasteries under Henry VIII. The mystical authority of the church was being dismantled piece by piece.
So the bell stops being the literal voice of God in the same way.
Exactly. It becomes a municipal asset. And as the ringing became more complex, the ringers became a distinct tribe.
They weren't monks anymore.
They were laymen, they were tradesmen, blacksmiths, bakers, farmers.
And according to the sources, they were a bit of a rowdy bunch.
Rowdy is putting it politely.
Oh, really?
The archives are full of complaints from the clergy. The ringers would show up, sometimes drunk, ring a peal for a few hours, and then leave without staying for the service.
There is that mention in the documents of the Great Stalemate where they essentially locked each other out.
Yes. In some older churches, you can physically see this divide.
How so?
The door to the bell tower is often outside, completely separate from the main church door.
Oh, that's fascinating.
The ringers didn't need to go through the nave. They had their own domain. It became a sport.
We keep using that word sport.
Yeah.
But it really was, wasn't it? There was betting involved.
Heavy betting. Prize ringing was a huge event.
Like a tournament.
Villages would compete against each other. Who can ring a true peal of 5,000 changes the fastest? Or who can ring the most complex method?
It was the football of its day, but with calculus.
And with a lot more danger.
Which perfectly leads into the next point in the outline. It highlights 1610 as the year bell ringing became a dangerous sport. Why that specific year?
1610 is a solid representative date for when the full circle mechanism really became the standard across England. And with full circle ringing comes full-scale danger.
We need to talk about the rope, because in my head, it's just a rope hanging from a hole in the ceiling.
But remember what it is attached to.
Right, it's attached to a wheel spinning a massive weight.
It is a potential noose. Or a whip.
The physics of that must be intense.
When the bell swings down, the rope comes down. That's fine. But when the bell swings up, it pulls the rope up fast.
So you have a rope shooting up towards the ceiling.
We're talking about a thick hemp rope, moving at high speed, carrying the momentum of tons of metal.
And if you don't let go...
If you hold on too long, you get lifted. The sources describe ringers being thrown into the ceiling. Lofted, they called it.
I read a report of a ringer whose foot got caught in a loop of the rope on the floor.
That is the absolute nightmare scenario in a tower.
I can imagine.
If the rope coils around a limb and the bell swings up, it will hoist you violently. Broken legs, fractured skulls.
It's hard to reconcile that with the gentle ding-dong sound outside.
There are actual burial records in English churchyards that list death by bell as the cause.
It is almost like extreme sports. It requires this flow state focus, because if you drift off, you don't just mess up the song, you get hurt.
That is the tension. You have to be completely relaxed to handle the rope smoothly. But your mind has to be razor sharp to count the math and watch the other ropes. It creates a very unique psychological state.
Which brings us to the ultimate test of that state, the full peal.
The full peal, the marathon of change ringing.
The magic number we kept seeing in the archives is 5,040. Why 5,040? Why not just an even 5,000?
It goes back to the factorials. We talked about permutations earlier.
Right, the math puzzle.
If you are ringing on 7 bells, which is a very common number for a peal, the number of possible unique combinations is 7 times, 6 times, 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times 1.
Which equals 5,040.
Exactly. So a full peal on 7 bells means ringing every single possible mathematical combination without repeating 1.
The sources refer to this as the impossible exhaustion.
Yes. You exhaust the possibilities of the instrument.
How long does that actually take to execute?
Depending on the weight of the bells, usually between 2.5 to 3.5 hours.
3 hours, non-stop.
Non-stop. You cannot stop.
Wait, really? Not even for a minute?
If you stop, the pattern is broken. The truth is lost. The peal is invalid.
So you can't switch ringers? Like a tag team?
No. 1 ringer, 1 bell, no water breaks, no bathroom breaks, no checking your phone.
That is wild.
Just 3 hours of standing, reaching up, pulling down, and counting.
That sounds completely grueling.
It is physically exhausting. We are talking about thousands of repetitions of pulling a heavy weight.
Like a gym workout.
But it is the mental exhaustion that really gets people. Imagine doing complex mental arithmetic for 3 hours while doing CrossFit.
And if you mess up at hour 2 and minute 55.
If you make a mistake that causes the method to collapse, what they call firing the bells, where they all clash together,
Right.
then it is over. You stop, you silence the bells, and you go to the pub in shame.
That is brutal. 3 hours of perfection required.
It creates a very specific atmosphere inside the ringing chamber. I call it calm intensity.
Describe that for me, because outside, the village hears this lovely cascading sound.
Right. Outside, it sounds like water flowing. It is hypnotic. But inside the tower, picture a room with high ceilings, maybe some dust motes floating in the light from a narrow stone window.
Okay, I see.
You have 6 or 8 people standing in a circle. They aren't looking at each other's faces. They are staring intently at the ropes.
A circle of ropes.
Yes, and there is no talking. You cannot talk or you will lose count.
Just silence.
All you hear is the thump, thump, thump of the ropes catching on the wheels, the swoosh of the Sally moving through the air, and the muffled roar of the bells above the ceiling.
It sounds incredibly intense, almost meditative, but highly stressed.
It is. The ringers usually have this stone face. They look bored, but they're actually concentrating closer to the limit of human capacity.
What are they listening for, specifically?
They're listening for the striking, the tiny gap between each bell. It has to be mathematically perfect.
It's the difference between a cacophony and a cascade.
Exactly. And when you realize that this is happening every Sunday or every Tuesday practice night in thousands of towers across England, it really changes how you view the landscape.
That is the so what of this whole deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
We walk past these towers, we see the old stones, we think history, but we don't think living engineering.
We don't. We see the church as a static monument.
Right.
But inside that tower, hidden from view, is a machine. A massive machine made of bronze, wood, and hemp, powered by human gravity and controlled by 17th century algorithm.
It is a hidden layer of history operating right over our heads.
It is. It is a reminder that our ancestors weren't just simple farmers or superstitious peasants. They were engineers.
They were mathematicians.
They took a simple call to prayer and turned it into the most complex team-based physical puzzle in the world.
Gravity and geometry.
Gravity and geometry.
I really love that perspective. It makes me want to find a local tower and just peek inside.
You should, but don't touch the ropes.
Right. Not unless I want to be lofted into the rafters.
Precisely. Let the experts handle the heavy lifting.
So here is the final thought I want to leave you, the listener, with today. We talked about bead. We have talked about the Reformation. We have talked about the physics of the stand slider.
We have covered a lot of ground.
Next time you are out in the world, maybe you are traveling in the UK, or maybe you are just watching a movie with that classic British wedding scene, and you hear those bells ringing out.
Listen closely.
Don't just hear the melody. Listen for the pattern. Ask yourself, are you hearing a call to prayer? Or are you hearing a group of mathematicians fighting gravity?
That is the real question. And once you know what to listen for, the hunting, the dodging, the relentless permutation, you will never hear a church bell the same way again.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It has been a fascinating trip up the tower. Thanks for helping us unpack all these archives.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening. We will see you on the next deep dive.